there, Dot. Welcome. Let's settle in for a gentle story, a calm piece of history to help you rest and maybe even drift off to sleep. There's no need to focus too hard. Just let the words wash over you and let your mind wander to a simpler time. We're going to travel back, far back, to a world lit by fire and governed by the sun. A world without the noise and rush of our modern lives. Visiting a medieval village nestled in a quiet valley just as the day begins. So get comfortable, close your eyes if you wish, and let's journey together into the quiet morning of the past. The air is still and cool, holding the last remnants of the night. A faint pearly gray light begins to touch the eastern horizon, sketching the silhouettes of distant hills. Below, in the gentle curve of the valley, the village is a cluster of dark, sleeping shapes. Thatched roofs, like shaggy brown hair, sit atop walls of wattle and daub, timber and stone. Not a single light shines from any window. The only sounds are the soft whisper of the wind through the trees and the distant, gentle murmur of a stream. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the gray light softens into a pale, blush pink. The sky begins to wake up. A lone bird, perhaps a robin, tests its voice with a few tentative notes. Another answers from a nearby copse of trees. And then another. Soon a quiet chorus builds, a natural alarm clock for the sleeping world below. This is the first sign of the day. Inside one of the small, single-room cottages, a man stirs on his straw-filled mattress. He is a farmer, a peasant, and his life is tied to the land and the seasons. There's no sudden jolt into wakefulness. It's a slow, gradual process, like the dawn itself. He blinks, his eyes adjusting to the dim light filtering through a small, unglazed window covered by a wooden shutter. The air inside is thick with the smell of sleep, with smoke from last night's fire and the faint, earthy scent of the packed dirt floor. He sits up, the straw rustling beneath him. His wife and two small children are still asleep on their own pallets nearby, their breaths soft and even. For a moment he just sits, listening to the growing symphony of birdsong outside. It's a peaceful, familiar sound that has marked the start of every day of his life. He swings his legs over the side of the low bed. His feet meet the cool, hard earth. There are no slippers, no soft rugs, just the ground. He stands and stretches, his joints cracking softly in the quiet room. His movements are deliberate and unhurried. The day will be long and filled with hard work, but it begins in this tranquil stillness. He reaches for his clothes, which are simple and practical. A linen tunic, rough to the touch but durable, is pulled over his head. It falls to his mid-thigh. Next are his braids, a type of loose-fitting linen under-trousers tied at the waist with a cord. Finally, he pulls on a pair of woolen hose, one for each leg, which he secures to his belt. His shoes are simple leather turn shoes, little more than shaped pieces of hide sewn together. This is his uniform, the clothing of a man who works the fields. It's functional, made to endure, and offers basic protection from the elements. There are no choices to be made, no wardrobes to ponder. There is only what is necessary. As he dresses, his wife begins to stir. She, too, rises slowly. Her routine is just as ingrained. She pulls on a simple linen shift, the foundational garment for all women, rich or poor. Over this, she dons a girdle, a long, fitted gown of coarse wool, likely dyed a simple color like brown or green using plants from the surrounding woods. She covers her hair with a linen coif, a simple cap that ties under her chin. A married woman in this time would rarely be seen in public with her hair uncovered. Like her husband's, her clothing is practical, designed for a day of labor both inside and outside the home. While the parents prepare for the day, the birdsong outside has grown into a full, vibrant choir. The sun has now crested the hills, and shafts of golden light slice through the morning mist that clings to the valley floor. The light catches the dewdrops on the thatch of the cottage roof, making it sparkle as if strewn with tiny diamonds. The world is waking up. The farmer unbars the heavy wooden door. It swings open with a low groan, and the fresh, cool morning air floods the small cottage, chasing away the stale smells of the night. He steps outside, blinking in the new light. The village is coming to life around him. Smoke begins to curl from the smoke holes in the roofs of neighboring cottages as other families wake and tend to their hearths. The smell of burning wood and peat joins the scent of damp earth and growing things. A neighbor, another farmer, nods a silent greeting as he heads towards a small shed attached to his house. There's no loud chatter, no bustling rush. The morning is a time of quiet preparation, of shared and understood routines. The farmer's first task is to check on his animals. In a small, fenced-in area beside the cottage, a milk cow lows softly, and a few chickens scratch and peck at the dirt. An ox, his most valuable possession and his partner in the fields, stands patiently in its lean-to shelter. He gives them fresh water and a portion of hay, his hands moving with the practiced ease of a lifetime of repetition. These animals are not pets, they are essential to his family's survival. The cow provides milk, cheese, and butter. The chickens, eggs. The ox, the brute strength needed to plow the heavy soil. Back inside, his wife is already at the hearth. The fire from the previous night was carefully banked with ashes to preserve the embers. She gently blows on them, feeding them small twigs and kindling until a small flame flickers to life. This fire is the heart of the home. It provides warmth, light, and the means to cook. She hangs a blackened iron pot on a hook over the flames, pouring in water from a wooden bucket and adding a handful of oats or barley. This will be pottage, the staple breakfast of the medieval peasant. It's a simple, nourishing porridge, sometimes enriched with a few vegetables from their small garden plot or, on a lucky day, bit of bacon fat for flavor. The children are awake now, a boy of about 7 and a girl of 5. They don't bounce out of bed with boundless energy. Like their parents, their waking is a gentle affair. They dress themselves in smaller versions of their parents' clothes, simple tunics for both. Their morning task is to help their mother. The girl might be sent to the stream with a small bucket to fetch more water, while the boy might be tasked with scattering grain for the chickens. From a young age, children are part of the family's working unit. As the pottage bubbles over the fire, the sounds of the village grow. The rhythmic clang of a blacksmith's hammer begins to echo from the far end of the village. The smith is an essential craftsman, making and repairing the tools, nails, and horseshoes that keep the village functioning. The sound is as much a part of the morning as the bird song. A dog barks, a cartwheel rumbles on the dirt track that serves as the main street. Women can be seen walking towards the communal well or the stream, wooden buckets balanced on their shoulders or heads, exchanging quiet greetings as they pass. Their conversations are soft, focused on the practicalities of the day ahead, the weather, the state of the crops, a sick child. The village is a tight-knit community bound together by shared work, shared space, and shared hardship. Everyone knows everyone else, their families, their histories. This intimacy provides a strong social fabric, a network of support, but it also means there is little privacy. A secret is hard to keep in a place where lives are so interwoven. The farmer and his family gather around the hearth to eat their breakfast. There's no table and chairs in the modern sense. They might sit on low stools or simply on the edge of their beds, holding wooden bowls and using wooden spoons. Pottage is hot and filling, a warm start to a cool morning. The meal is eaten in relative silence, a moment of shared quiet before the day's labor truly begins. For eating, the farmer gathers his tools, a heavy hoe, perhaps an axe. He will spend his day on his strip of land in one of the large open fields that surround the village. These fields are farmed communally, with each family allocated several strips in different fields to ensure a fair distribution of good and poor land. Today, he might be weeding or repairing a fence or, depending on the season, preparing the ground for planting. His son will likely go with him. At 7 years old, he is old enough to learn the rhythms of farm work, to help with small tasks like carrying water or scaring birds away from the seeds. It is an apprenticeship for the life he will one day lead. His wife's work is centered closer to home, after cleaning the bowls. She might spend her morning in the small garden plot behind the cottage known as a toft. Here she grows vegetables like onions, peas, leeks, and cabbage, as well as herbs for both cooking and medicine. This garden is her domain. Its produce is vital for supplementing the family's diet of grains and bread. Or perhaps you will spend the morning spinning wool into thread with a simple drop spindle, a task that can be done while walking, watching children, or talking with neighbors. Every spare moment is filled with productive activity. Thread is always needed for mending old clothes and weaving new cloth. The young daughter stays with her, learning these domestic tasks by watching and helping. She might be asked to pull weeds, fetch herbs, or simply play quietly nearby, absorbing the patterns of a woman's life. The sun is higher now, its warmth beginning to chase away the last of the morning chill. The village is fully awake, a hive of quiet, purposeful activity. The sounds are of work, the thump of a hoe, the whir of a spinning wheel, the distant bleating of sheep being led to pasture by a shepherd boy and his dog. Life is hard, there is no doubt. It is a constant struggle against weather, disease, and hunger. But here, in the gentle light of a new day, there is also a profound sense of peace, a rhythm, a connection to the earth, to the seasons, and to the community. It's a life of simplicity lived one day at a time, starting with the quiet promise of the rising sun. Step back in time with me, far from the grand castles and epic battles we often imagine. Let's wander into the heart of the medieval world, a quiet, unassuming village. What was life really like for the everyday person? The story begins not in a fortress, but in a humble home. Picture a small cottage, its walls made of wattle and daub, a mix of woven sticks, clay, mud, and straw. The roof above is thick thatch, smelling of earth and damp grass, providing shelter from the rain and the sun. These homes weren't built for grandeur, they were built for survival, crafted from the very land they stood upon. Often, they consisted of just one or two rooms, a central space where the entire drama of family life unfolded. As we step inside, our eyes need a moment to adjust. The air is thick with the scent of wood smoke from the central hearth, a simple fire pit in the middle of the floor. There's no chimney, just a small hole in the roof to let the smoke escape, so a hazy, smoky atmosphere is a constant companion. This fire is the heart of the home. It provides warmth against the biting cold, light in the darkest hours, and the means to cook the family's meals. It's a gathering point, a place for stories, for mending tools, and for huddling together when the winter winds howl outside. Look round. The floor is packed earth, trodden down by generations of footsteps. It might be strewn with rushes or straw, not just for comfort, but to soak up spills and mud. It's a simple solution, replaced every so often to keep the home relatively clean. Light is a precious commodity here. The windows are small, little more than narrow slits in the wall. They're unglazed, covered instead by wooden shutters or perhaps a piece of oiled cloth or animal hide. These openings let in slivers of daylight while keeping out the worst of the weather. The dimness inside is a constant state of being, a world of shadows and soft, muted light, even at midday. Now, let's talk about furniture. Forget ornate, carved pieces. Everything here is functional, rough-hewn, and built to last. The most prominent piece of furniture might be a simple wooden chest. This was the medieval equivalent of a closet, a safe, and a suitcase all in one. It held the family's most valuable possessions, a few changes of woolen clothing, perhaps a special tool or a small bag of coins. It was lockable, providing a small measure of security in a shared space. You'd also see a rough trestle table, easily assembled for meals and disassembled afterward to create more space. Benches or simple stools would be set around it. There are no comfortable armchairs or sofas. Comfort was a luxury few could afford. Life was lived on hard surfaces, a reality that shaped bodies and expectations. And where did they sleep? The concept of a private bedroom was unheard of for most. Families slept together, often in the same room where they ate and lived. The bed might be nothing more than a straw-filled mattress, a simple sack of cloth laid on the floor or on a low wooden frame. For warmth, they would pile on woolen blankets or even animal skins. Everyone from the parents to the youngest child would huddle together, sharing body heat to fight off the night's chill. It's a level of closeness that's hard for us to imagine today, a life lived without personal space or privacy as we know it. Imagine a family gathered in this small space. The father might be sharpening his scythe by the low light of the fire, preparing for the next day's work in the fields. The mother is at a spinning wheel or using a drop spindle, tirelessly turning raw wool into thread, a never-ending task essential for clothing the family. The rhythmic hum of the spindle is one of the key sounds of the medieval home. Children are not idle. From a young age, they have chores. A young girl might be helping her mother with the spinning, learning to mend clothes, or tending to a pot of pottage simmering over the fire. This simple stew of grains, vegetables, and whatever else was available was the staple food eaten day in and day out. A young boy might be tasked with feeding the chickens that wander in and out of the open doorway or gathering firewood. Life was a collective effort, and every member of the family had a role to play in its survival. But it wasn't all work. In the flickering firelight, stories were told. Folk tales, legends of saints, local gossip, and family histories were passed down orally from one generation to the next. This was their entertainment, their education, and their connection to the past. Without books or widespread literacy, memory and voice were the libraries of the people. Perhaps someone would sing a simple song, a melody that echoed the rhythms of the work they did each day. The rhythm of life was slow, dictated not by clocks, but by the sun and the seasons. The day began at dawn with the crowing of the rooster. The morning would be filled with labor in the fields, in the garden, or at the loom. The midday meal was a brief respite before work resumed. As dusk fell, the family would retreat back into the smoky confines of their home. The evening was a time for winding down, for finishing small tasks, and for shared warmth before sleep claimed them. There's a deep silence to this life that we've lost. No humming refrigerators, no blaring televisions, no constant notifications from our phones. The sounds were those of nature and of human effort. The wind whistling through the thatch, the crackle of the fire, the cry of a baby, the low murmur of conversation, the bleating of a nearby sheep. It was a life lived in close connection with the earth and with each other. This quiet, slow-paced existence was the reality for the vast majority of people during the Middle Ages. It was a life of hardship, of constant labor, and of little comfort. But it was also a life of resilience, of deep family bonds, and of a powerful connection to the natural world. By stepping into their homes, we get a glimpse not just of how they lived, but of the very foundations of our own world built on the quiet, steady rhythm of countless ordinary lives. Step back in time with me to a world where the rhythm of life was dictated by the rising and setting of the sun. Imagine a quiet medieval village nestled among rolling hills and dense forests. Here, life isn't about rushing, it's about a slow, deliberate existence. And nowhere is this more apparent than in the way food is prepared and shared. The day begins not with the blare of an alarm, but with the gentle light of dawn filtering through a small window. First task is to tend the fire, the heart of the home. The crackle of wood and the soft glow of embers are the only sounds in the quiet morning. This fire is everything. It provides warmth, light, and the means to cook the day's meals. Let's talk about breakfast. And no instant oats or quick-pour cereals here. Instead, imagine a thick, hearty porridge simmering slowly over the fire. It might be made from oats, barley, or rye, whatever was harvested from the surrounding fields. A spoonful of honey, a precious commodity, might be stirred in for sweetness, or perhaps some foraged berries from the hedgerows. The process is unhurried. The grains need time to soften and swell, absorbing the water and transforming into a nourishing meal that will sustain a hard day's work in the fields or at the forge. As the porridge cooks, other morning rituals unfold. Water is drawn from the well. Its cool freshness a stark contrast to the warmth of the hearth. Perhaps some herbs are gathered from the small garden patch just outside the door, parsley, thyme, or sage, their fragrances filling the air as they're chopped on a rough-hewn wooden board. The centerpiece of many medieval meals is bread. Not the soft, uniform loaves we know today, but dense, dark, and deeply satisfying bread baked in a communal village oven or on a hearthstone right in the fire. The dough would have been kneaded by hand the day before, a slow and rhythmic process. Flour, coarse and stone ground, retains all the goodness of the grain. Each loaf is unique, a testament to the baker's skill and the quality of the harvest. Tearing off a chunk of this bread, its crust crackly and its inside chewy, is an experience in itself. It's often eaten plain or used to sop up the juices of a simple stew. Lunch is a humble affair, often taken in the fields. It might consist of that same hearty bread, paired with a wedge of hard cheese and a crisp apple. The cheese, made from the milk of the family cow or goat, is aged and flavorful, a concentrated form of sustenance. There's a simple honesty to this meal, eaten under the open sky with the sounds of nature as the only accompaniment. It's a moment of rest, a brief pause in the day of physical labor, a time to replenish energy before returning to the task at hand. As evening approaches and the sky turns a shade of orange and purple, the villagers return to their homes. The evening meal is the main event, a time for the family to gather. The fire, which has been gently smoldering all day, is built up again. A large cast iron pot is hung over the flames, ready for the evening's pottage. Pottage is the quintessential medieval dish. It's a thick, savory stew, a one-pot wonder that bubbles away for hours, its aromas filling the small cottage. What goes into it depends entirely on the season and what's available. In the spring, it might be filled with young greens, leeks, and onions. In the autumn, it's a celebration of the harvest with root vegetables like carrots, parsnips, and turnips, along with beans and peas that were dried for winter storage. Preparation is a slow dance. Vegetables are chopped not with perfect precision, but with a practiced hand. Each ingredient is added to the pot in its own time, allowing the flavors to meld and deepen. The family is fortunate. A piece of salted pork or a bit of chicken might be added, enriching the broth and adding a welcome savory depth. The pottage cooks slowly, the low heat of the fire tenderizing the vegetables and meat, creating a dish that is both comforting and deeply nourishing. There's no rush, no timer beeping. It's ready when it's ready. Imagine the scene as the family gathers around the simple wooden table. The light from the fire and a few tallow candles cast long, dancing shadows on the walls. Pottage is ladled into wooden bowls. There's a quiet reverence to the meal. The food is not just consumed, it's appreciated. Every spoonful is a taste of the land, a product of their own hard work. Conversation is low and unhurried. Stories from the day are shared, plans for tomorrow are made. And no distractions, no screens to stare at. The focus is on the food and on each other. They eat slowly, savoring each bite. The thick bread is used to wipe the bowls clean, ensuring that not a single drop of the precious broth is wasted. This act in itself is a form of gratitude. In this simple setting, food is more than just fuel. It's a connection to the earth, to the seasons, and to the community. The slow process of cooking over a fire, the shared meals eaten without haste, the appreciation for every ingredient, it all speaks to a way of life that is grounded and intentional. Dessert, if there is any, is simple. A baked apple, perhaps, roasted in the embers of the fire until its skin is wrinkly and its flesh is soft and sweet. Or maybe a small handful of dried fruits and nuts, a special treat saved for the end of the day. As the fire dies down to glowing coals, the bowls are washed, and the home settles into the deep quiet of the night. The bellies are full, not with fancy or complex dishes, but with simple, wholesome food that has been prepared with care and eaten with gratitude. This quiet, unhurried approach to food and eating is a stark contrast to our modern world. It reminds us of a time when meals were a central part of the daily rhythm, a time for connection and nourishment in the truest sense of the word. It's a beautiful, peaceful image, a glimpse into a slower, more deliberate way of living. Step back in time with us, far from the clamor of the modern world, to a place where the rhythm of life is dictated by the rising sun and the turning of the seasons. Welcome to the quiet, hard-working heart of a medieval village. Here, life is a tapestry woven with threads of labor, community, and the simple, profound beauty of the everyday. As dawn breaks, casting a soft, golden light over the thatched roofs and dewy fields, the village slowly awakens. The first sounds are not of traffic or alarms, but the crowing of a rooster, the lowing of cattle, and the distant clang of a blacksmith's hammer. This is the soundtrack of a day's work about to begin. Out in the sprawling fields that embrace the village, farmers are already at their toil. Men and women move with a steady, unhurried pace, their bodies attuned to the land they cultivate. You see them guiding a heavy plow pulled by a pair of sturdy oxen, the wooden share cutting a deep, dark line into the rich soil. The air is filled with the earthy scent of turned soil and the gentle encouragement of the plowman's voice. They work not with the roar of engines, but with the strength of their own muscles and the patient power of their animals. Each swing of a scythe to harvest grain, each bend of the back to pull weeds, is a movement honed by generations of experience. It's a slow, deliberate dance with nature, a partnership that feeds the entire community. There's a quiet dignity in this labor, a deep connection to the earth that provides their sustenance. Closer to the cluster of wattle and daub houses, the air is alive with the sounds of creation. Step into the blacksmith's forge and you're met with a blast of heat and the rhythmic symphony of metal on metal. The smith, his face smudged with soot and sweat, is a master of fire and iron. He heats a glowing piece of metal in the roaring coals, his bellows breathing life into the flames. With a practiced hand, he pulls it out a vibrant orange against the dimness of his workshop and lays it upon the anvil. Ringing strikes of his hammer are not just noise, they are the shaping of a new horseshoe, the forging of a sturdy nail, the mending of a vital tool. His work is the backbone of the village, providing the essential ironware that makes all other work possible. Just a short walk away, you'll find the potter, her hands covered in wet clay. Her wheel spins with a soft, hypnotic whir, and from a shapeless lump, a vessel begins to emerge. Her fingers, deft and knowing, gently coax the clay upwards, forming the walls of a jug, the lip of a bowl. Each piece is a testament to her skill, destined to hold water from the well, store grains for the winter, or serve the family's evening meal. There are smells of damp earth and the promise of a kiln's fire, which will transform these fragile forms into durable, everyday objects of use and simple beauty. Nearby, the weaver sits at her loom, a complex contraption of wood and thread. The shuttle flies back and forth with a steady clatter, weaving wool from the village sheep into durable cloth. It's a meticulous, repetitive process, yet it is anything but mindless. Each pass of the shuttle adds another line to the fabric, creating patterns that might be simple and functional or colored with dyes made from plants gathered in the nearby woods. This cloth will become tunics, cloaks, and blankets, protecting the villagers from the cold and dressing them for their daily lives and special occasions. Her work is a quiet testament to patience, turning raw material into comfort and warmth. At the heart of the village, especially on market day, the gentle hum of labor gives way to a more lively social buzz. The small market square becomes a vibrant hub of activity. Farmers lay out their surplus vegetables on rough-spun cloths, their colors a feast for the eyes. Beekeeper offers pots of golden honey, its sweetness a rare and precious treat. Women trade eggs for a length of ribbon, and neighbors catch up on the latest news while examining the craftsman's wares. The sounds are of friendly haggling, the laughter of children playing nearby, and the soft murmur of conversation. This is where the fruits of everyone's labor are shared, where the threads of the community are woven even tighter. It's a place of trade, yes, but more importantly, it's a place of connection, reinforcing the bonds that hold the village together. As the sun begins to dip towards the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, pace of work slows. The farmer leads his oxen back from the field, the smith banks his fire for the night, and the weaver lays down her shuttle. Tools are cleaned and put away, and the villagers begin to drift back towards their homes. The smell of wood smoke fills the evening air as hearths are lit and simple meals are prepared. The end of the day is not an end to activity, but a shift towards the domestic. Inside the small, cozy cottages, families gather. The light from the fire flickers on their faces as they share a meal of bread, cheese, and perhaps a hearty vegetable stew. This is a time for rest, for storytelling, for mending clothes by candlelight, for sharing the small triumphs and tribulations of the day. The sounds are now softer, the crackle of the fire, the quiet conversation, perhaps a lullaby sung to a sleepy child. Life in a medieval village was undeniably hard. It was a life of constant work, subject to the whims of weather and the ever-present threat of hardship. Yet, in its simplicity, there was also a profound sense of purpose and belonging. Every task, from plowing a field to baking a loaf of bread, was essential. Every person had a role, a skill, a contribution to make. They were deeply connected to the land, to their craft, and most importantly, to each other. As night falls and a deep quiet settles over the village, broken only by the chirp of crickets or the distant hoot of an owl, we leave this world behind. But we carry with us the echo of its rhythms, the steady beat of the hammer, the gentle spin of the wheel, the quiet strength of a community working together. It's a powerful reminder of a different way of life, one lived in harmony with the natural world and sustained by the skill of human hands. Have you ever wondered what a quiet day in a medieval village was really like? Forget the battles and the grand castles for a moment. Let's step into a world of simpler times where the rhythm of life was dictated by the sun and the seasons. Come with me, let's take a slow walk through the heart of one such village and experience its serene daily life. The day begins with the first light, but our journey starts as the sun climbs higher in the sky. Imagine walking along a well-trodden dirt path, the kind that connects every home, every field, and every person in this small community. The air is fresh, carrying the faint scent of wood smoke from morning fires, damp earth, and blooming wildflowers along the fences. Chickens scratch in the dirt nearby, and the distant bleating of sheep drifts from the surrounding pastures. Our path leads us to the village center, the hub of daily activity. Here stands the well, its stone walls worn smooth by countless hands over generations. It's more than just a source of water, it's a gathering place. Women are here, their wooden buckets filling with a rhythmic splash and creak of the rope. They share news, a bit of gossip, or simply a knowing smile. Their conversations are a low, gentle murmur, a vital thread in the village's social fabric. Nearby, the church stands as a silent stone guardian. Its doors are often open, offering a cool, quiet sanctuary from the midday sun. You might see an elderly man sitting on a bench outside, his eyes closed, just feeling the warmth on his face. Or perhaps a child chasing a butterfly in the churchyard, their laughter a brief, bright spark in the quiet air. This is a place of pause, of reflection, a constant reassuring presence in everyone's life. As we continue our stroll, we notice the unhurried pace of everything. There's no rush. farmer, having finished his morning's work in the fields, might be leaning against a wooden fence, simply watching the world go by. Two neighbors might stop on the path, not for an urgent matter, but just to talk about the weather or the health of their livestock. These aren't long, deep conversations, but short, quiet exchanges that strengthen the bonds of community. Life here is tied to the land, and moments of rest are earned and cherished. Under the shade of a large oak tree, a few villagers might take their midday break. They sit on the grass, sharing a simple meal of bread, cheese, and perhaps a piece of fruit. There's no loud chatter, just a comfortable silence punctuated by the sounds of chewing and the rustle of leaves above. It's a moment to recharge, to gather strength for the afternoon's tasks. This quiet communion is as important as the work itself. As the afternoon sun begins to soften, casting long shadows across the village, the rhythm of the day starts to shift. The air cools and a sense of winding down settles over the landscape. The setting sun paints the sky in brilliant hues of orange, pink, and purple, a spectacular, silent show that happens every single day. Villagers returning from the fields or their workshops might pause for a moment to watch it, a daily reminder of the beauty and constancy of their world. The village paths, once dotted with people, slowly empty. The sounds of work, the clang of the blacksmith's hammer, the rhythmic thud of an axe splitting would fade away, replaced by the sounds of home. Doors open and close, and the warm, inviting aroma of evening meals begins to drift through the air. A simple stew simmering over the fire, the smell of baking bread, these are the sense of comfort of family of the day's end. Inside the small, cozy homes, families gather. The main source of light is the hearth, its fire casting a warm, flickering glow that dances on the walls. Or perhaps a single candle or a simple oil lamp is lit, creating a small pool of light in the growing darkness. In this intimate, gentle illumination, the day's events are recounted in low voices. It's a time for connection, for sharing stories, for being together after a day spent in separate labors. Conversations are not of grand ambitions or distant lands, but of the immediate world, the progress of the crops, the mending of a tool. A funny thing a child said. It's in these simple, shared moments that the strength of the family is forged. As the meal ends, the quiet deepens. There are no screens, no devices, just the crackle of the fire and the soft sounds of a household settling in for the night. Outside, the village streets are now cloaked in an almost complete silence. The moon and stars provide the only light, casting a silvery sheen on the thatched roofs and stone walls. The only sounds you might hear are the distant hoot of an owl, the chirping of crickets, or the soft rustle of a breeze through the trees. The village, which was a place of quiet activity during the day, now seems to be holding its breath, resting under the vast, dark sky. This profound quiet is a world away from our modern experience of night. It's a silence that is deep, peaceful, and all-encompassing. Now, as the last embers in the hearth die down, it is time for sleep. Preparing for bed is a simple, unceremonious ritual. There are no complex nighttime routines. It is simply about shedding the day and embracing the rest that the night offers. In a typical medieval home, beds might be simple straw-filled mattresses on the floor or a low wooden frame. They might not be soft by our standards, but to a body tired from a day of physical labor, they offer a welcome and deep comfort. Families often slept in the same room, the shared warmth of comfort against the night's chill. Thick wool blankets, heavy and coarse, are pulled up tight. Room is dark, save for any moonlight filtering through a small, unshuttered window. The air is cool and still. In this profound quiet, every small sound becomes noticeable. The gentle breathing of family members, the sigh of the wind outside, the distant bark of a dog. These are the sounds of the sleeping village, a gentle lullaby that signals all is well. Sleep in this world wasn't just a biological necessity. It was a surrender to the natural cycle of day and night. It was a deep, restorative rest, earned and deserved. It was a time for the body to heal, for the mind to quiet, and for the spirit to be at peace, ready for the sun to rise again and start a new day. As we end our journey, perhaps you can feel a sense of that deep peace. I hope this glimpse into the quiet life of a medieval village has brought you a moment of calm. May you find your own quiet rest tonight, and may your sleep be as deep and peaceful as that of a villager nestled safely in their home centuries ago. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Sleep well.